Good evening and welcome to the ordinary meeting of Council, Monday the 25th of May 2026. It is now 6:30. Acknowledgement of country. Lithgow City Council acknowledges the Wiradjuri elders past and present of the Wiradjuri Nation, the original custodians on the land on which Lithgow communities reside. Council also extends our respects to our neighbouring nations. Declaration of webcasting. I inform all those in attendance at this meeting that the meeting is being webcast and that those in attendance should refrain from making any defamatory statements concerning any person, councillor or employee, and refrain from discussing those matters subject to closed council proceeding as indicated in clause 14.1 of the Code of Meeting Practice. Public attendance. In accordance with the mandatory requirements of the New South Wales Local Government Code of Meeting Practice, clause 1520, members of the public attending a meeting of council A must remain silent during the meetings unless invited by the chairperson to speak. B must not bring flags, signs or protest symbols to the meeting, and C must not disrupt the meeting. Council meeting emergency procedures. I'll hand over to Director Browning.
In the case of an emergency, please follow the emergency warden's instructions, who will be identified by coloured helmets and fluorescent council vests. Wardens will determine if any evacuation is required and the appropriate exit path. In the event of a fire, do not use the lift. If you require personal assistance in an evacuation, please advise a warden. If in the event of an evacuation, no one is to re-enter the building until advised by the Chief Warden. The community in attendance in the public gallery are requested to scan the QR code to register your attendance for safety purposes.
Thank you, Director Browning. I note that all councillors are present. Do we have any declarations of interest? Councillor Ring.
I have a significant non-pecuniary interest in item 3.3 as it relates to Energy Australia. However, as it is a question with notice and there'll be no voting, I'll be staying in the room.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Any further declaration of interest? No? Okay, we'll move on. Thank you, councillors. I have a set of minutes, confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting of council held the 29th of April 2026. Is there anybody that's interested in moving those? Councillor Martin?
Yeah, I'm happy to move it with a correction if I can, Mayor.
Yep. What would you like to correct?
Sorry, I should have been prepared.
That's
for
all right.
this.
While you're looking at that, I'll get a
thank you.
seconder. Who would like to second that for me?
I'll second it, but I'll also like maybe an update on the motion I moved.
Oh, happy to help. Yep. So, Councillor Martin?
My apologies. Okay, I've got it. Item 1.3, I brought forward a point of order. Just how the point of order was captured, I'd like corrected. I wasn't, in fact, questioning Councillor Frederick's right to reserve her right to speak until others have spoken. I was actually supporting Councillor Frederick's right to reserve her right to speak until after others have spoken. It might seem like semantics, but there's a significant difference in that.
That's fine, that's noted. Minute taker, did you get that? Yep. Councillor Goodwin?
Yeah, just in relation to item 2.6 of the last meeting, Sports Advisory Committee minutes, that a matter arising that I brought up, just any updates in relation to either contacting the family or any updates on the motion of it. It's supposed to come back to the next available council meeting or 28 days. It's only up to 28 days.
Do we have any response to Councillor Goodwin? Can we take it on notice? We'll take it on notice and come back to you if that's okay.
Mayor, if I could, and for Councillor Goodwin's purpose, I've done a little bit of personal research. I don't want to blurt it out here because I haven't got it in front of me, but I'll forward everything that I have. I've got a personal interest in genealogy, so I have been doing a bit of research, and I'm certainly into the third generation, so I can give some details towards that and possible living family members. So I'll try and be of assistance if I can.
Thank you, Councillor Marty. That's very kind. Councillor Goodwin, we'll take it on notice, come back to you if you're okay with that. Maybe by memo, General Manager or something?
Yes.
Yep. All right, great. If there's no opposition to the minutes, I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against, declare them carried. Thank you. The first administration report is 1.1 Local Government Remuneration Tribunal Determination. Do we have any motions, councillors? Councillor Ring?
Move to set the remuneration. I did send the wrong figure to Trinity. My math isn't that good. Set the remuneration in 2026-27 for councillors to 16,021, and to set the remuneration in 2026-27 for the mayor to 33,928, and the car lease payable by the mayor remains as nil.
I'll second.
And Councillor Goodwin, you're seconding that. Thank you very much. Did I hear that right? Yep, I got that. Yep. Councillor Ring, if you'd like to speak to it.
It's a very small increase in the stipend we're paid to cover our costs and expenses in relation to the duties that we perform. It's a little bit more than $10 a week. I don't think it's unreasonable.
Thank you.
Sorry, not finished.
Sorry. Yep.
The amount that we are now being paid is still $8,000 shy of the top amount that this category council can be paid. So we're still on the lower amount for what councils get paid. And in fact, Blaney Council, which is smaller than us, they are paid at the top of their rate, which is around the 14,000 to 15,000 mark.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. I'll go to Councillor Goodwin. You'll second it.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. In recent months, the world's undergone significant changes. Rising fuel, electricity, gas prices, along with steep increases in living costs, have made it challenging for many to manage their expenses. Councillors are not exempt from these pressures as well. The costs associated with travelling in and out of town for weekly meetings, community visits, and other functions have all risen. Just simply apply the CPI increase that many employers typically extend to their employees. I'm saying I propose that the increase is justified. I respect any councillor who chooses to donate their remuneration, reflects their honourable character. However, I choose to increase. How I choose to spend my increase is my personal decision. I'll allocate it towards travel expenses, attending council meetings, community gatherings, workshops, and other councillors who live even further from me from council and serve on more committees than I do will probably face similar expenses. The CPI remuneration increase is both modest and appropriate, and supporting this will enable councillors to perform their duties without the added stress of managing their fuel and vehicle expenses.
Councillor Tysos?
Thank you, Mayor. As similar to last year's resolution, I wanted to put a point forward that council note that Councillor Tysos and Councillor Fredericks will donate their increase, their second increase of over and above the $15,000 of $1,021.
Are you happy to accept that, Councillor Ring?
Last year it was to have gone to a charity. Is that not the case this year?
Well, we don't claim it on tax, so it's a non-profit group, so it's a bit pointless. If I say charity, I get screamed at. If I put rather than a group, we don't do it to charities. So if I put charity, you blame me for giving it as a tax deduction. We don't tax deduct it. We did the Sunny Corner group and we did the Mount Lambie group this year, so it'll be some other groups next year. So there'll be $1,021 donated.
So you're happy to accept that?
No, at it. Yeah. No
you're happy to
problem.
accept that? Point 4. Are you happy to accept that, Councillor Goodwin?
Yeah, very happy.
Yep,
Thank
fine.
you.
Okay, any further debate? Councillor Marnie?
I'll make my own personal decision on whether I support it or not, and that won't reflect anything on other councillors who have chosen to take the increase, and I fully accept the statement made by Councillor Goodwin, and it's very correct. I'd argue that rural councillors would work as hard, if not harder, than metropolitan councils because of the kilometres they travel. I'm not against increasing the fee for deputy mayors. I won't run any commentary on previous mayors and deputy mayors. I'm sure they've worked extremely hard, but I've had a lot of visibility of what happens in between meetings and what Councillor Goodwin's spoken to. is exactly right. There's some very large workloads. We've moved operations committees to monthly. We've moved a number of our committees to frequency. So there's councillors who are on the job 2 or 3 evenings a week, some weeks. So I take my hat off to all of those that are contributing. In regard to when I voted against 2 of the pay rises previously, I'm not interested in making a public statement on what I do with the money. I was brought up in a culture that if you determine that you put your money in a charity or a donation, that's for you. That's a decision for you to make. I see no need to make a public statement about it, but I cannot take a pay rise I've voted against and keep it. So if I vote against it, I won't be keeping it. But I don't need the councillor group to note where and what I'm doing with it. As for when donations are made to charities or not-for-profits, the people in the community need to be absolutely clear, because there was a comment on myself that he's only done it for tax purposes. If you're not a taxable a charity, I pay the tax on my fees, and if I deem to contribute that to an organisation, it's post-tax. So I'm paying the pre-tax amount after it's been taxed. So, so essentially, if you want to be charitable, in my mind, and it's sort of my values, is do that, but it's not a public statement. So I won't support the inclusion, but it's not up to me of making those sort of public statements.
Thank you, Councillor Money. Any further debate on this matter? Right, a reply, Councillor Ring.
I've just got a question there.
Sure, question.
I understood when we first decided to look at this, is that as councillors we have to accept the 3% or 3.1, and it was not up to either Councillor Fredericks or myself to actually withdraw. In fact, we all have to get it, and that's what we do with it in the end. So that's still the understanding, isn't it?
So that's the question. Is that your understanding, General Manager? Would you like to respond?
Through you, mate. That's correct. Nothing has changed since last year with that. Yeah. That's correct. Yeah. We can't have different fees for different councillors.
Yeah. So that's correct, Councillor Tyesworth. It hasn't changed. Any further debate? Right, a reply, Councillor Ring.
I just thought that's a very valid point. The stipend we paid is taxable income, and councils can claim on that, no different to any other income they get. There's a lot of work involved. As Deputy Mayor, I do a lot. I'm at a lot of meetings. I fill in for the Mayor on a number of occasions. And it's a very small amount. And I think it's worthy that we get paid. It's no different than anyone else in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We move on to 1.2, which is Q3 budget review. Do we have any motions? I have a recommendation in front of me. Councillor Marnie, you'd like to move that? Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Ring, you're happy to second that? Councillor Marnie, you'd like to speak to it?
Thank you, Meg. Again, just a quick summary. I think it's one of our critical responsibilities as a councillor group, noting that the Director of Finance and Governance has projected a financial position at the 30th of June 25 as being a satisfactory outcome compared with the original budget. Looking at the end, also having a 513 consolidated operating surplus between July 1, 25 and 31st of March 26. I also just want to again thank staff for building some separation in between the revenue and expenditure. For people in the community who do want to delve into these issues, it gives them an opportunity to see the detail. And I think sometimes finance can be perceived as a bit of a dark art, and trying to interpret what's going on is sometimes difficult. Something that I do want to mention is some of the grant funding coming in. Very interested in the pathway forward with 117,000 for assessment of regional FOGO processing in Lithgow. The challenge for us as a councillor group is we can't go to rate rises as the only income stream. So we've got to look at opportunities for income generation as a council. We've got to use our advantages that sit there. There is a mandate for FOGO bins, essentially green waste, food waste, have to be in place for every single council in New South Wales. If we can position ourselves to support that processing and gain some income for our area, it's one piece of the economic pie, it's one piece of the employment pie. And so I appreciate the staff who've done the work on preparing that. And I won't go through blow by blow, but just noting some of the changes. Other councillors may wish to speak to some of the other points. Also note that there's sufficient cash and investments to fund council's external and internal restrictions with 333,000 in unrestricted working capital. I don't think anyone is operating under an illusion that financially we're still got significant challenges as a council. And I note that there are some mixes of measures, and looking inside the organisation for savings. I think I've stated this previously as a tool for savings. I'd ask that it be used carefully about keeping positions vacant for any length of time to save money. That just places pressures on other staff to cover the gap. But I do like that there's some scrutiny around expenditure and contract variations, just to make sure that discipline and oversight is there. And again, I appreciate the councillors who take part in the Finance Committee and contribute there as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Councillor Ring?
Yep, I'd like to refer both councillors and residents watching this meeting to what on the surface appears a simple throwaway line, which doesn't adequately reflect the hours of work to ensure that the timing of projects and their payments is done in a controlled manner that allows council to effectively use its cash reserves, nor at times the difficult decisions that have been made to defer or cancel works. On page 12 of 32, it states cash flow continues to be carefully managed to ensure the council has sufficient liquid funds available to make payments on time. Management actions have ensured that cash inflows match cash outflows. That is not a small body of work. That is a large body of work. And someone who has run multi-million-dollar programs, and we've got to fund some of the work through self-generated revenue, you can have quite a few sleepless nights. So I just like to draw everyone's attention to that, because although it's easy to sit here and say, no, we're not doing this, we're not doing that, the staff are working exceedingly hard to ensure that they are managing our financial resources to the best of their ability. Thank you.
Councillor Statham? Absolutely. Councillor, we can't hear you. Can you put your... Yeah, lovely.
Apologies. Page 10 of 32, dot points down, it says 90k grant for what Wild Foods Festival, and then on the following page it's got 75,000 for Wild Food Festival grant funded. So how much was it that we got altogether, and what was the actual outcome? Who got? I don't understand that myself.
Director Browning?
Through you, Mayor Coleman, there's a couple of breakdowns with the expenditure. So some of it's 75, some of it's broken down further. So basically what you got in grant funding will be spent in expenditure. So within the details of the attachment is what comes back to the 90,000. It was a 3-year grant program, so more grant funding than that was received, but it's to be done over 3 festivals in 3 years.
All right, thank you very much.
Councillor Statham, would you like any further questions?
No, thank you.
Any further debate on this topic? Councillor Marnie, would you like to have a round of
Yes,
applause?
thanks, Mayor. It'll be very brief. I just wanted to thank Councillor Ring for making that visible. There's a lot of work that goes in across committees at the moment. I know that the Infrastructure Committee has a very detailed report that comes in front of the council laws. And that management of the timing and phasing of the projects is critical for navigating us through the financial challenges we've got. I don't see us as an organisation that's busted financially. I think local government in New South Wales in regions is heavily challenged, and I think the figure was sitting at about 80% of councils in regional areas were returning an operational deficit. That says something that's systematic and industry-wide that needs to be addressed. And I thank Councillor Ring for acknowledging the work that's going on with staff to bring those details in front of us to help us be part of the decision making.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. We move on to 1.3, alternative fuel rebate policy rescind. Is there any motions, councillors? Yes, Councillor Ring.
I'd like to move the motion as it stands.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second it, but I've got a question.
Well, I'm happy to second it if you.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll second it.
Okay.
I'm happy to do that. Councillor Ring.
This policy only related to removal of coal-fired appliances. It has effectively served its purpose. It's done its job. And as the report states, there is no funding to continue it. So there's no requirement for the General Manager to be asked to bring back a report. The information's there. There is no funding. Unless councillors want to use pretty much the only discretionary funding we've got, which is financial assistance grants. All the other areas. I believe this policy has had its day. Later on, we'll be talking about drought resilience and planning for the future. I think we need to be targeted in what we do and what we achieve. It's time for this policy to be withdrawn.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. In 2021-2022, there were only 4 applications that received. That tells me that this policy is no longer required and we don't actually have the funding available. Any further debate? Councillor Marnie, you had a question, and then Councillor Statham.
Yes. Of course, you've got to be notified when you have these sort of policies. A lot of people don't do Facebook. A lot of elderly people don't do Facebook. You know, how long is it since we actually advertise this? Doesn't matter if it's 5 years or 10 years, it's another blow for farmers, and it's certainly another blow for the aged. So yes, it's an excuse not to have to pay out this money. We know that everything's getting cut. It's very simple to see that one, and everybody in this room probably doesn't need to have it done. But there are many people out there, particularly people living on farms, that have boilers when there's been an influx of coal in the area. So, you know, I've spoken to about 35 people at a function just recently, and not one of them knew anything about it. But I realise it has to be rescinded. We don't want to cut any other services, that's for sure.
Councillor Marnie?
My understanding, and I'm happy to be corrected by some of the longer term councillors, when I came to town 26 years ago, we were seeing the tail end of this initiative, and I've got to say it was I take my hat off to the councillors of that era because it changed what winter skies look like in Lithgow, and used some very good incentive tools. Now the report's been very clear, and this has clarified something for me between meetings, is that it is for coal-fired appliances, not solid fuel appliances, so where people are burning wood. So I'm happy to do it, but I did say that I had a question, Mayor. I just want to be clear. What happens to a person who comes forward? I'm assuming that anyone from here on in has to wear the cost, and and also need to understand at the closure and they're selling their property, is there an issue with them selling a property rid of coal-fired burning appliance? I'm sorry I haven't given you that on
That's all.
notice, but
Can we answer that? Yeah. Oh, okay. Excellent. Director Elwood, would you like to take that?
Through yourself, Mayor. The policy does not require a property being sold to declare or have changed their coal burning appliance. When we are reviewing development applications for new buildings or changes or renovations that require development applications, it is a consideration that's identified and a requirement to apply, and the removal of the coal burning appliance is put in place. I would also just like to clarify this policy applies only to residential and RU 5s within land areas less than 2 hectares.
thanks. Yep.
You good? Okay. Any further debate on this matter? Councillor Ring, right to reply?
Yeah, I'd just like to say I'm glad Councillor Marnie raised the fact that 26 years ago when he came here, he was on the tail end of it. 26 years ago, we weren't using Facebook. We weren't online. A lot of people were barely using computers. So in the years preceding that, council would have sent out notices with our rates. Council would have advertised it. It would have been well promoted. I believe that everyone has had ample opportunity to replace their coal-fired appliances, nor do I see it as an attack on farmers or the aged. This is just life. The opportunity was there, it's gone. We all miss out on opportunities. That's just the nature. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. We move on. 1.4, you've got an extra report, and it is the future use of the Charles Hoskins Memorial Building. I've got a recommendation here, councillors. What would you like to do? Councillor Ring?
I would like to move what is written down. Thank you.
So you're moving the recommendation?
I'm moving the recommendation.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Marnie?
This report will
Councillor Ring?
This report will be extremely welcome when it's tabled. It has been a standing item, the use of this building, at the Emerging Economy Committee meetings. There's been a lot of discussion. There's some proposals there. Getting the option back will allow us to see what we can do with this building, how we can meet community needs, expectations. Can we get a commercial lease? This could be a very beneficial report. But in addition to that, I want to ensure that as part of this, we do pay strict attention to the conditions that our staff work under. Their working facilities, and we've all been taken through the buildings, are appalling. They really are bad. I mean, how many staff are expected to have their little kitchenette right beside the entrances to the public toilets? Not very many, but our staff are. Some staff sit in their offices in winter with jackets on because the heating doesn't work properly. So I think getting a report back that addresses all these issues, the use of the Hoskins building, use of the Centrelink building, potentially upgrading the resources for our staff is critical. And I would encourage all councillors to support this, and then we can have the debate in open council when the report comes back.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Marnie?
I've only got one point that I just need to clarify, and it interplays with the TALC committee or the Transport Forum. I'm just interested in how that car park interplays with Chifley Road or Moore Street, sorry. I'm very supportive of this. The building has been modified since its use as a library into a building that can support learning and skills acquisition. The fact that we've got a proposal coming from Skillset, which is about putting skills into our young workforce is extremely pleasing outcome. Whether there's some opportunity still for some hybrid use of the building, that would be good, but it's somewhat, I suppose, there is that thing that it's an age class that you're working with children in a way. So it may need to have a singular workplace. But I actually think it's pretty exciting. I know there's been some commentary around LEAP and what's LEAP's role in skills adaptation and changing workforces. It's nice to see a third party enter into the equation and potentially supply that service to our region. So I'm happy to support the recommendation and appreciate the staff bringing this back in front. I will talk to the car park issue when the Transport Forum comes up, but this is a pretty good solution. I also acknowledge some of the work of other councillors in seeing the opportunities to use the income coming out of that building to support the restoration and improvements that occur in this building and possibly Centrelink. So I think it's a win. So, we don't get reported on many wins in our council season, but I actually think this is one we should be pleased as a group.
Any further debate? Councillor Fredericks?
Look, we've all been walked through the issues specifically around the Hartley building. It's just no H&S violation waiting to happen. And if we want to start retaining staff, we need to start giving them appropriate accommodations to actually perform their work. And if that means we move them into the Hoskins building, then we move them into the Hoskins building. We have to start doing what's best for the people that keep this council up and running.
Councillor Tysos?
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a question. Is there a start-up date for Skillset to commence a lease? Is that before the 24th of August for the university building, or it's after that?
Who's going to take that? General Manager or Director Elwood?
Through yourself, Mayor. The discussions that have accompanied the proposal that was submitted by Skillset are open to an extent. What they have indicated is that they would be wishing to commence their education operations formally after or late 27. Correct. Yep. That may mean that an operation is required or a lease or arrangement is required before that if it was agreed, so that they could make the building suitable for their operations. But the activities would not require a lease to be entered into before 24th of August.
Simply put, what would be the start date that they'd want to go in there to get everything organised?
Given that we've only had the proposal and we have not brought a proposal to council with our recommendations, we have not entered into formal discussions about dates. What we have had is discussions with them about what our situation is and what we may require that building to be used for in the interim. One option may be it has to temporarily house staff while remedial works or basically refurbishing of other offices that we currently hold is undertaken so that we can reduce disruption on staff. So that there's a range of different requirements or options that we may have to consider as well. Otherwise, if we were undertaking works in an office where we have staff, the level of disruption would be quite high.
I'm just concerned that we're going to be paying for renovations and then give them a lease and they're going to do their own renovations to suit their facility.
Sorry, I should clarify. If staff or council was to use that building in the interim, we wouldn't be undertaking renovation works. The building itself is actually in a very good condition that we could basically move in there, certainly on a temporary basis for staff, with one exception being some IT improvements just for connectivity with digital services.
Thank you. Any further debate or questions? Councillor Statham?
Yes, Mayor Coleman. I personally have been on the school set staff for I think over 10 years. It is an amazing organisation. It took me a little while to figure out how it all ran, but I think there's a tremendous amount of people in Lithgow that could be very interested. People that don't want to go to school, they seem to be able to go there in a much more relaxed atmosphere and get amazing results. I think there's a lot of areas from this with the environment. They do a lot of work with the environment down around Lake Pillins and different places that they've been in Lithgow. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, Councillor Statham. Council, any further debate? Councillor Ring, right reply.
Yeah, first I guess I'd like to say that the skill set is an unsolicited proposal. Due process will have to be followed. The report will have to come back, and if we determine we wish to pursue a commercial lease, then it will have to go through our registered or our contracted real estate agents, and it'll be put out to the open market. If skill set put in a winning bid, that's fine, someone else might. But that's a decision we have to make, and it's also a risk. It has to be transparent and has to follow appropriate procedures. And I'll jump in on the car park. A car park being used by the general public is entirely different to a car park being used by commercial lessee. We'll explore that later. Thank you.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. We move on to 1.5, which is proposed transfer of 144 Mort Street, Lithgow to VRA Rescue New South Wales. I have a recommendation in front of me, councillors. What's the will? Councillor Goodwin's happy to move it. Councillor Frederick's happy to second. Councillor Goodwin, you would like to speak?
Thanks, Mayor. This is just a proposed transfer of a title. It was bought in trust back in the 80s. The loan's been repaid. It's a transfer of title back over to the VRA and SES. And I don't have a problem with this, as it says here. The procedure was followed to assess its financial benefit and should save over $10,000 annually. The classification of the land is operational. I did have a question about the valuation, as the late reporter didn't get a chance to read the attachment.
Would you like to ask that, Councillor Goodwin?
I will. It's that block of land is only valued at $450,000. Is that correct?
Director Browning?
Through you, Mayor Coleman, yes.
Just seems a little low. That's all. That's
just to clarify. There's quite a constrained envelope. So it really the land is where the building is. Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Fredericks.
Yeah, as Council Goodwin went into it, it's at the end of the day, it's going to save us $10,000 a year in depreciation costs. And I mean, realistically, we were just holding on to it for safety aspect for the VRA. So if all it takes is a deed change, we might as well just give it to them because technically it's theirs.
Any further debate on this matter? Councillor Marnie?
I won't cover the ground the previous speakers have covered. I think it's a good decision. Again, the same car parking space comes into play, understanding that the VRA, their emergency vehicles have different sort of rights in traversing the roads, but still we have a space which I'm not convinced we're fully utilising, but I'll hold that commentary over till the Transport Forum. But certainly happy to support the transfer of the land over to the VRA, who have actually seem to be increasing in their numbers and presence in the town. So I think it's very timely support.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Any further debate? Councillor Statham?
Mayor Coleman, how many people value this? Do we have 2 people value this?
Director Browning?
Through Mayor Coleman, one but a qualified valuer. So there were quotes sought. It took quite some time to even get the 2 quotes, and we went with the most appropriate valuer at the time.
So it's hard for me to hear. So you went with 2 two
So we sought
valuations.
2 quotes,
Yes.
but only one valuation was undertaken. We're only required to do 1 valuation.
I'm sure that 2 should be applicable. I mean, at the moment, there's a lot of people out there thinking there's a lot of land for sale, but I really believe that's, as Councillor Goodwin had noted, and I had already previously seen and read that, I thought it was very undervalued, is what they're doing a lot now. It's undervaluing so that they can sell. But I think that seems a very, very, it's a wonderful cause. I'm a great follower of the VRA, but I think at the moment that just seems quite a lot less than I would have expected.
Can I ask?
Hang on.
Yes.
General Manager, sorry, because I'm like, General Manager wanted to speak. That's all.
Through you, Mayor, just to provide some advice on Councillor Statham's comments. It is standard practice to follow a procurement process to find one valuer in these circumstances. The valuer follows a methodology, so it usually you wouldn't expect much variation between valuers. They use a methodology, and that's what it has come out at in this case.
Councillor Marnie, you've spoken. Did you have a question? Yeah, you had a question. Yeah, question.
Step out. Just wanted clarification. The VRA essentially owned the building, and we own the land under it. Is that no? Okay. If I could get clarification on that.
Director Browning or the General Manager who's picking this up? Director Browning?
Through you, Mayor. It's land and buildings. Yeah.
Councillor Ring and then Councillor Evangelides.
There's a moral issue here. We loaned money to the VRA and the SES contributed money to purchase this building and set up VRA and SES within Lithgow. They have now paid the money back. Effectively, it is their building. The value of the building is irrelevant. If they sell it, that's their option. We don't own it. Let's get it off our books. We remove 10,000 in depreciation. We get rates, we get water, we get rubbish. Let's just do it. It's a moral obligation, if not legal.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Evangelides.
Yeah, I mean, the value is not consequential at all because they're basically just taking it over. But the 415 is just for the structure. It's not the land, isn't it? The valuation.
Director Browning?
Through you, Mayor Coleman. Land and buildings.
Why does it say not land here?
Just assumed, or that it's the land and the building?
So it's for a sale. You can't sell a building without the land entitlement.
So the value, it says here the current written down value of the building in brackets, not land.
That's just in our council record, so we keep land separate to buildings, but the attached valuation report and the 450,000 that the valuer came to was for the land and buildings.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter because it's not going to market. So, okay, I'm happy for it.
Councillor Tysos?
Thank you, Mayor. I've just got a question. I just wanted to confirm, after all that talk, that no money is changing hands here in regards to the $400,000.
Director Browning?
Through you, Mayor. There'll be a $1. You have to have some consideration for a contract validity, so it'll be just a $1 transfer.
The other question is it then the case that the VRA Limited pays rates, or are they exempt from paying rates?
Good question. Do we know?
They would be welcome to put in a non-rateable application, and it would be considered on its merits. I would imagine that would be non-rateable, but we would go through the process as the process to consider non-rateability.
Thank you, Councillor Tysos. Any further debate, Councillor? No? All right. Councillor Goodwin, right of reply?
No, Mayor, just put the motion.
I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against, declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We move on to 2.1, Water, Wastewater and Waste Infrastructure Committee meeting minutes. Do I have a recommendation or a motion? Councillor Ring, what would you like to move?
I would like to add an additional point, which has already been sent through. Okay. Point 2 is to read that a future report be brought back to the Infrastructure Committee on drought management and support. My notes on here haven't saved properly, but Trinity's got the correct wording. Basically, that's...
Hang on, councillor, let's put that up. I need a seconder, please. Oh, Councillor Goodwin's happy to second that. All right, now you can go.
Thank you. I'm not going to talk to the second point. It was raised and supported by both Councillor Smith and Councillor Mahoney. I do believe it's important, though, to plan for the future, and we are looking at a drought cycle. What I wanted to briefly touch on, and this was discussed at the Coffee and Cakes meeting the other day, is the Cullen sewerage scheme. The problem with the scheme was, the planning for it went back to, I believe, the 2012 to 2016 or 2011, the 16 council period. It was never a good proposal in terms of the information in it. We got that project in 2016 and there were problems from day one. Now the problem, and I'm happy to be corrected, but I do listen to Director Trapp. We don't want to promote him too high. You've got to get the approval to build the sewage works before you can get the approval to discharge. This is why we're having problems now. The staff are actually looking at a number of options of what to do with that discharge at the moment. It's being moved to the Portland site where it can cope well. We have had discussions about putting in storage tanks so that water can be used for firefighting or irrigation moving forward. We're not talking about a lot of water that can be used from this site because it's a very small village. The second one I'd like to talk about is the Portland landfill. Now, this was raised by some people at the recent cake and coffee at Cullen. The EPA are allegedly applying a lot of pressure to councils across the state to have manned waste facilities. They're trying to get rid of facilities like we have at Portland, and they want them staffed. Council took the option to introduce a manned site from Wednesday through to Saturday. Originally, the proposal was Tuesday to 3 o'clock to Saturday at 12. And the compromise we reached was to go from Wednesday to Saturday, 8:30 to 4. The guarantee with that is the staff will start in Lithgow and go out to Portland. So if a staff member rostered at Portland calls in sick, someone will be transferred out from Lithgow. So it's guaranteed to be open. We've got new L bins going there, so more recycling, which means we may be able to increase revenue. This will be beneficial. It also will increase the life of that tip. And I think it's worth trying. Everything we've done in the waste sector has been of a very high standard. When I first came onto council, we were talking about how the tip was going to end in 10 years or 15 years. That keeps getting pushed back because of measures this council is taking. That's all I really wanted to say.
Thank you, Councillor Ing. Councillor Goodwin.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. No, I don't nothing to say. Happy with it.
Any further debate? Councillor Money.
I'll start from the bottom. The general business was raised by myself, but the formal moving was Councillor Smith. I don't have a problem with that. Last term I put a very similar notice of motion up, and it's just resetting that approach. We've obviously had a major water outage in the urban landscape in Lithgow. Our response is to plan on how we better prepare, how we respond, and how we rectify things post it. Similarly, the rural landscape, the issues with water are more profound. When they run out of water, they run out of water. They've got to buy it in. So it's what I'm asking through this is in a similar way to the last term that we have a team that stand up only during drought events. We don't have 5 officers who are in a drought team that just sit there waiting for a drought. But we have the right staff ready to go, and that was clear when we had the urban water outage that I don't know that we had all our processes in place. So rather than wait until drought's on us and then we start thinking about how we respond, we can think on days where we're getting saturated in misty rain, but we can still prepare for these things. So that was where that came from. Happy to forward the previous notice of motion for the previous term. I won't talk to the Portland landfill. I think Councillor Ring's spoken to that. I will talk to the Cullen sewer scheme. I'm still trying to understand what I see as a primary constraint as a discharge is left until after completion. I just don't understand that. Everything that is an issue for us as a council is our issue. I'm not much of a running a retrospective view on something. Someone else did something and it didn't work. It's in our court. It's up to us to make it work. But I find that a really difficult challenge for a rural council, A, to get the money together to build something like this, and then B, negotiate a discharge license. So, because at the moment it's almost like this very flash version of a very large communal septic system. So we store the sewage and then we do a pump out and then we take it to our sewer plant. So I will continue to take an interest. I've written to staff about it over a considerable time. Just need to understand the pathway forward. I like the idea around some reuse options to reduce the capacity. Did note that also in this meeting, and I appreciate your staff, Mr. Trapp, coming to the meeting. So we got an update on how Lithgow sewage plant is operating against its compliance criteria. So my understanding was our water treatment plants and our sewer treatment plants were meeting all of our compliance metrics. So this is some of the stuff that Councillor Goodwin and Councillor Ring spoke to around the pay increase. There is an intensity of activity going on in evenings for the councillors and very much for the staff as well. But I will be interested in if we can be clear on how that pathway is going forward with Cullen Bullen.
Thank you, Councillor Money. Any further debate on this matter? Okay, Councillor Ring, right of reply.
Just that it's a legislative nightmare and political. Maybe it's something that we can put up as a notice of motion potentially for the state conference for local government New South Wales to advocate making it a much more seamless process. Because I agree, it is absolutely ridiculous. It frustrates the staff, frustrates us, and it wastes our money. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move on to 2.2, the Local Transport Forum meeting minutes, the 7th of May 2026. Do we have any motions, councillors?
I'll move what's there.
Yep, you're moving the Local Transport Forum meeting. Yep, you're moving the recommendation.
Yes.
Do I have a seconder? I'll second it. And I think there's a matter arising.
Yes, sorry. Yes, there is a matter arising. Sorry.
So, Councillor Ring?
Yes, the two items. We did have a presentation again from Transport for New South Wales on the local traffic management plan, which I think is now being completed. And I'd just like to highlight for the community some of the changes that are coming. Firstly, the installation of pedestrian activated LED warning signage at 3 pedestrian crossings on the detour route. These will be sensor activated as you move and set off lights triggering cars to be aware that someone is at the crossing. Installation of defined parking bays on both sides of Main Street between Lawrence Street and Academy Street at Bunnings. Improved pedestrian and traffic arrangements at the rail underpass and George Coates Avenue. No right turn restrictions in James Street, Burns Lane, Hasler Street and Esbank Street. Installation of keep clear road markings at vital intersections and emergency service access intersections. Bridge Street traffic signal amendments, including additional pedestrian path opportunities and protection with signalised arrows. Extension of merging lanes, providing extra time for vehicles to navigate the intersection of Bridge Street. Improvements to giveaway holding lines and signage, including Hartley Vale Road and Valley View Road. Potential to install curb blisters and pedestrian refuge centres. Still under investigation. They were talking about a pedestrian refuge in the middle of Main Street at the crossing in front of the Gang Gallery. Potential change to the flow direction of Naomi Street, which I believe is the lane beside Harvey Norman's, to provide additional egress for businesses including Woolworths and public car parking. It's still under investigation. I did raise concerns with the extension of the merging lanes. The transport safety staff believe that will improve the situation. However, the police did have similar concerns, and there was discussion of the police drone coming up during busy periods to actually monitor so that anyone breaching can be booked. I believe they're doing a fairly good job. They're working with staff, and I think we will get a good outcome from it. It's not a set in stone plan. It will be continually monitored and changed as needed. I think it's the best that we can get under the circumstances, and I think it's fairly good. The only other point that I would like to raise is the car park in the Hoskins building. I raised the same concerns in that meeting that I raised in open council, and the police and Transport for New South Wales staff present concurred that they do not support use of a public car park under the current circumstances. That's all I've got to say at the moment.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. I'll reserve my right. Is there any further debate on this matter? Councillor Money.
I'm obviously, look, firstly, thank you to the Director, Jane, who's come into the role and dived into this in the deep end. So I wish you luck with helping manage all those moving parts. I'm interested in the building car park, and there's numerous car parks in our town that we don't adequately, they're not visible to people and they're not used to their full potential. I said a couple of meetings ago, being elected doesn't make me a traffic engineer, nor does it make me, have years of experience of policing and so on. So I'm happy to receive advice, but I just want to make sure the issue was completely interrogated. There was an understanding that the use would only permit eastbound traffic turning into it, with traffic coming out of it then turning left only to continue in an eastbound fashion. People coming across Maud Street are putting a lot of people at risk when they travel across lanes. So I understand Transport and Police being reluctant to support that. So we've got few things that are in our circle of control that we can help contribute towards business. I'd just like to see us maximise those with careful consideration of the risks. So I just need to understand that Police and Transport said that no, eastbound traffic cannot turn into it left, occupy time in it, and then come back out and turn left and continue eastbound. So I'm posing a question there, and I'm happy for any of the councillors or the staff who were present just to clarify that one for me.
Director Jane, can you tackle that, or would the General Manager be best?
Through you, Mayor Coleman. I think most of you realise that I'm staying in that Charles Hoskins building, so I get to see that car park every day. And the gates are open all day so that people can come and go if they want to. And at best, it's about a third full most days. It's not highly used. I noticed on the weekend with the theatre usage that the gates were open for most of the weekend as well. Once again, not a whole lot of use. Even though it's an excellent car park, it's a little bit of a walk to get there. So it's available for use. As for the turn movements, I know when I come out of there, I only ever turn left and go down to Gasworks Lane to come back in, because turning right onto Mort Street is very difficult because it's chockers most days.
Thank you, Director Jane. Yes, Councillor Money?
Finish on this point. So look, I'd just like to get some feedback on that. If that was the consideration, understanding it's got limited opportunities, but I think it's something that we do need to run a campaign, and I appreciate the Deputy Mayor raising with the Minister when the Minister was up about signage. That's critical as part of the equation. We need to make those parking bays seen, particularly the ones on the northern side of Main Street, behind the old Lithgow Hotel and places like that. We need to get people to know what's there, the position of the EV chargers for those people travelling through. Look, I don't get down the Southern Highlands very often, but went down for a family thing in Barrel, and Barrel's packed on a Saturday morning, but they got this fantastic volume public parking, free public parking that nobody knows about because the signage is not there. So I think we want to build habits for people travelling through Lithgow. If we've got 12,000 movements, let's look for the opportunities that are there. We all got the challenges and what we've got to do, but we need to look at those opportunities to get people into a habit of 2 hours out of Sydney. Here's Lithgow. Here's your charging stations. Here's your coffee shops, and see if we can build something out of that. But anyway, I will respect the decision of the council, but I'm not complete.
Thank you, Councillor Marty. Any further debate on this topic? Right, a reply, Councillor Ing.
I'd just like to say that I've had both Friday and today I've had calls from senior staff in transport. They are working on developing signs to encourage people to stop, revive, survive in Lithgow. They're looking at trying to make those of a standard that will last if it's 12 months or 3 months. The other issue that I raised with Minister Saffin last Friday was the need for signage on the corner of Westbank Street and Mort Street to identify the CBD, the free car parking, EV chargers and public toilets. We are now getting that as well. This is after Transport had originally pushed back on the signage, and I understand there's a lot of signage out in relation to this. But as Minister Saffin said, this actually meets two issues. It meets one, safety, two, tourism, and hopefully this will help to encourage more people into the CBD itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. We move on to three.
Sorry, no, matter arising. Matter arising.
Matter arising?
Yeah, sorry. Apologies, let me get the so I'm just trying to find the email I sent to Trinity.
It's coming up, Trinity.
It's coming up. Basically, in the February council meeting, sorry, my notes on the computer didn't save properly. The February council meeting, we voted to support council submitting a grant submission for safer streets or safer cities, and it had the same proviso that if successful, it had to come back to council for council to determine if we would, thank you, Ross, if we would actually accept the grant and contribute $100,000.
Before you go ahead, we need a second, or I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. We discussed this at the last EEC meeting, which is on the 19th of May. However, clearly there was a delay in getting the minutes into this meeting. I do know that the staff were able to secure an extension to get our approval. And that's what we need to vote on tonight. I actually believe that this grant is good. It will improve safety around the CBD, around the station, for both women, young people, disabled people. And it's an important part of placemaking within our community. So the resolution is note the successful 1.1 million grant application, which was the subject of council's endorsement to submit an application at the 23 February 2026 meeting. 2, accept the successful grant application subject to the execution of the funding deed. 3, add project income and expenditure budgets of $1,100,000 excluding GST, including a $100,000 contribution funded from the SRV Transition Management Reserve, and note that the full payment schedule is to be confirmed in the funding deed. Point 4, authorise the General Manager to finalise and execute the funding deed and associated documentation subject to the final terms being satisfactory and consistent with the submitted application and budget application. A $1 million grant for $100,000 contribution is a good return on our money, and it will be a good improvement on the safety of our city. Thank you.
Grant applications are something that we need to constantly put in for. We need to be upfront and out there putting in as much as we can to the state and the federal government.
I have a point of order, Mayor.
Yes, what's your point of order?
Point of order is that this is business of great urgency. It's not, in my mind, a matter of coming up now, a matter of arising. I think it's business of great urgency where it's coming after the agenda's been set. I've got no reason why it wouldn't be recommended that it is business of great urgency.
I understand where you're coming from, but we're already halfway through the debate, Councillor Tysus.
That's not the point. The point is it's got nothing. It's a matter of arising. It's business of great urgency.
Well, it's actually it's a transport grant, my understanding, and we just had this transport forum meeting minutes, so it relates back to that.
Nothing to do with.
That's your opinion, and I understand where you're coming from. Well, I'm
ruling
ruling it out of order. We're already through the debate.
Move dissent.
You can move dissent. We now
business of great urgency.
Yep. So Councillor Tysus has moved a motion of dissent against my ruling. So we would now need to argue and debate the motion of dissent. So Councillor, go first.
Thank you, Mayor. This is clearly a matter of business of great. I've got no problems with it being. It wasn't in the agenda. It should have been. It could have been done as a mayoral minute. It wasn't. It's not a matter arising from a meeting minutes from the 7th of May. It's come in after the 7th of May. It's come in after the agenda's been put out. It's not in the agenda, but it clearly can be covered by business of great urgency. This is not a matter arising from the minutes of the local transport forum.
As per the Code of Meeting Practice on page 16, clause 9.1 does not apply to the consideration of business at a meeting if the business A is already before or directly relates to a matter that is already before the council, i.e. a matter arising. We just discussed the local transport forum meeting minutes. My understanding this is relating to a transport grant. Yeah, it might be a long bow, but it's still a matter arising because it directly relates to a matter that we've already debated. So that's my argument. I'll put the motion of dissent, which is in a motion of dissent, which Councillor Tysus has put forward. I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against? Declare it lost. We continue. I've had my say. Who else would like to debate this matter? Right, a reply, Councillor Ring?
No.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. We're up to 3.1, which is question with notice. Councillor Tysus, wastewater loan to fund the delivery of the wastewater capital works program. I've noted that you've actually had your question asked and answered. Do you have any further questions? Thank you very much. Question on notice, Councillor Tysus, Lithgow Sewerage Treatment Plant 3.2. You've had your question asked and answered. Do you have anything further, Councillor Tysus? Thank you. I do. For the Director, Trapp. I note in your response to Councillor Tysus, you've said that the miscellaneous licence application has been submitted with ongoing work on the application to satisfy the EPA requirements. My question is, do we know if they responded? Do we know how long before they will respond? Can we follow up with a phone call?
G-Man Coleman. For that licence, we have been working with the EPA. They have given us a response on what additional works will be required. That was tabled at the Infrastructure Committee meeting. There's still ongoing discussions with them. In total, what those studies and works that we need to carry out in order to continue with the application would total at about, or nearing about $290,000. That's before getting a trial discharge license. So spending $290,000 on something that's not really guaranteed. We're looking at a number of other options, as the council has already discussed tonight, around reuse pathways, different business processes that we can use and better uses for the water. The EPA has been pushing quite widely on stricter regulation across water, sewer and waste areas. One of those is the removal of discharges to the environment, which is exactly what this licence would be. We'll maintain that the application will be in there until we have another solution fully nailed down. But there's the cost of the works now is pretty prohibitive, but we're still maintaining and keeping the door open should we go down that path.
If I may have a follow-up question, should this be on our advocacy shopping list? Is there some way that we can, because we've already raised this with the relevant minister, should we raise it again? Should we raise it again?
Well, I believe so. I think there's some quite heavy regulation that goes on in the local government areas and with the utilities. I won't speak obviously for the council or making determinations on what you should or shouldn't advocate for, but at least from the staff's perspective and mine, I would say that it's certainly one thing to advocate for to get things like this across the line, unfortunately.
Any further on this matter? No? Great. Question on notice by Councillor Smith. Questions concerning the opposition to the Lake Isle Pump Hydro Project submissions and following responses. Your questions have been asked and answered. Do you have any further questions, Councillor Smith?
Yes, actually, I do have a few questions. I'd like to know why was the original submission submitted without being endorsed and who actually authorised it? Can I have a
General Manager?
Through you, Mayor. We did give an explanation at the last council meeting. However, I authorised the submission, and it is standard practice for the administration to put in submissions. But the key point in this case was that we didn't have in writing an extension, so we wanted to make sure that we had a submission pending further or feedback or a resolution from council on the following evening.
Councillor Smith?
Yeah, another question. What confirmation do we have from state planning that this has been received? This was that the unendorsed submission has been replaced with the new submission. Is there confirmation in writing or something to that?
Director Elwood?
We have provided, the General Manager has provided an instruction to the department to withdraw the submission that was submitted on the Tuesday, so the day that submissions closed, and for it to be replaced with the submission that Council resolved to adopt at the Council meeting the following day. That has taken place. We were advised it has been undertaken. What I can confirm is that we will have to follow that up with Department of Planning, because it does appear that both submissions have still been left on the Department of Planning submissions website, even following direct request for the first of Council submissions that was to be withdrawn to be removed.
Further questions, Councillor Smith?
Yep. Now, the administration was aware of the government department's responses. Can I ask, was administration already aware of some of the high impacts, such as the dropping of the dam by 13.5 metres, or was it only realised in the government department's responses?
Director Elwood?
Through yourself, Mayor. Council was aware of the range of changes that may be occurring to the lake levels during construction. The 13 metres was not an immediate awareness in Council's preparation of submissions.
Councillor Smith?
Another one? What is administration's position on the future of the camping ground asset Lake Lyle?
General Manager?
Through you, Mayor. We do have a resolution to start working on a new arrangement for Lake Lyle. At the moment, there's the caretaker in place there, so that's early next year. So that is the plan at the moment. There's also work being undertaken to put together a development application for a primitive camping ground. So at the moment, the administration's perspective, based on the council resolution, is that business as usual and it all continues at Lake Lyle.
Councillor Smith?
Does the present operator of the campsite down there now, the caretaker deed, the guy in possession of that, has he been informed of all these movements that are occurring?
General Manager?
Through you, Mayor, could I just clarify, Councillor Smith, what you mean by movements?
Well, the present operator hasn't had any communication or engagement at all from anybody from council nor the proponents at all.
We haven't had any discussions, or I haven't had any discussions with the caretaker regarding the pumped hydro proposal.
Councillor Smith?
Last question. Does administration consider lack of information and engagement has influenced the high rate of disapproval submissions?
Who wants to take that? Director Elwood?
Given Council has not been in contact with the whole range of submitters, we are unaware of what influenced the submissions that were applied other than Council's submission.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. We move on from there. Councillor Fredericks, you've got a question on notice as well. 3.4, Chifley Police on the diversion road. I see that it's been asked and answered. Do you have any further questions on yours?
Just to inquire, when we do get the answers back, can they please be published into whatever ordinary meeting is about to happen when we get those answers back, so they're easily accessible for the public, please?
General Manager?
Through you, Mayor. I'll just note that since I put that comment in the business paper, Director Jane has been in contact with he's made contact with people he knows in the New South Wales Police. There may be some sensitivity around the data, but we'll keep seeing what we can get.
Thank you, Councillor Fredericks. Councillor Tysos, 4.1, numbered street addresses for all Lithgow City Council facilities. Would you like to Move your recommendation and speak to it. And do you have a seconder? Councillor Fredericks is seconding it. Thank you. Over to you.
The recommendation won't be the one in the book. It's actually that council, and if I can take the minute secretary to page 30, on to the fourth paragraph, and she can do a bit of a cut and paste. And the motion is that council seek the feedback of Lithgow's local emergency management committee to determine whether our emergency services consider that this project would assist their operations, and two, this information then be considered by the infrastructure committee with a recommendation being subsequently made to the council. And that's out of the fourth paragraph of the reply on page 30.
Thank you, Councillor Tyson. Would you like just to wait a tick so we can get the minute taker to catch up? Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Tyson, I think it's up.
And this information is the point 2. So there's a 1 and 2 for that. Thank you, Mayor. I've taken on board what the management comment is, and it quotes that it is suggested that if the council sees merit in this proposal, well, I certainly see merit in it because I think it's appropriate that we should be doing as much as we can to have proper GPS identifications done, particularly in regards to emergency services and for people to find the places. I just think the numbering system is just the best system that we have in regards to rural properties, bushfire services, and we have call outs where ambulances in particular can be coming from other areas, and without local knowledge, it's always difficult for those in the middle of the night to realise where they're going. Whereas if we can have these numbering systems on particularly the longer streets and that sort of thing, particularly on rural roads, the old RMB roadside mailbox has gone out the door, and it's such a really good system. These management rural road addressing processes are. So I take on board what the council's looking at, but I certainly see merit, and I hope the council does, and it's appropriate to push it back over towards the LEMO committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tyson. Councillor Fredericks, you're reserving your right. Any further debate on this matter? Councillor Ring?
Yeah, a question for you to Councillor Tyson. I just want clarification because this report was about Lithgow City Council facilities. That's still what you're targeting?
I'm still targeting that by all means, but then if I look at it, I've got to find out the funding for it. How do I find out the funding?
No, that's not what I'm after. I just want to clarify that you're still only focused on Lithgow Council facilities.
I'm looking at, I gather the merit is not only the council facilities, but all facilities and other places that do not have rural addressing on their own. I certainly want the councils done because when there's an emergency, I want them to have a proper street address ready to go. And for that, we don't have a lot of them there.
Okay, look, I will actually support this. I did request that it be raised at the Transport Local Forum, but it wasn't consistent with the terms, and the staff were going to approach emergency services to find out. At the Lithgow High School Business Breakfast, I did speak to some paramedics. For Lithgow Council facilities, I didn't see it as an issue because the GPSs and that they're using, you type in Lithgow Pearl or Glendae Basalt, comes up. But let's put it out to the members of the LEMC and see what they've got to say and bring it back. I don't think that we would be going to the expense of private residences, but definitely looking at council if there is an issue. So let's see what comes back.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further debate on this matter? Councillor Statham?
Yes, I personally have had several people ask me over the years, why is Sunny Corner Road Portland one road and Sunny Corner Road Sunny Corner? It's very, this has come from the paramedic who now lives in Newcastle, who said it's, people are always very, I guess, anxious when they make that phone call to 000. It's just strange. You start down at Meadow Flat and you go up there and it says Sunny Corner Road to Portland, and then you say it's Sunny Corner Road to, so how can one road come down as if it's going to Meadow Flat? And it's very badly done. It has been for decades like it, so I don't think it'll change, but it is something for people to recognise.
Thank you, Councillor Statham. Any further debate on this matter? I think this is a great idea, and the fact that it's coming back to the Infrastructure Committee is really good. Our committees are the nuts and bolts of our council. We do a lot of work in our committees, so thank you, Councillor Ticehurst, for putting that in. That's great. Right of reply, Councillor Ticehurst? I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. We're now at business of great urgency. Does anybody have anything? Councillor Marnie, if you have a motion, you have to put it to the council, not me.
That the administration continue to meet with interested rail tourism operators to discuss key time-critical issues to their industry.
So you've got to put that to you've got to advise the council why you think that's urgent.
Okay, and the rationale behind it is there are some last sets of the VSET trains that there appears to be some willingness to place them out into community ownership, which may play some roles in how we transport people. And you probably don't expect me to be saying this sort of thing, but how we volume shed visitors to the Blue Mountains into the Lithgow area, particularly around the rail industry. I know there's been some, and also the to follow up with Transport for New South Wales in regard to the removal of the Bells Road Inch Street Bridge, noting that the investment both in micro rail maintenance facilities up at State Mine and also the aspect precinct as far as its role as a historic rail.
So you're putting that we need to, this is a matter of great urgency to the council.
Yep.
So they need to vote on this now. So
yeah, agreed. And principally the issue around the VSETs is the critical bit that they may end up just getting scrapped. So we just want to be part of the conversation in the short term.
I'll put it to you. Who's in favour of making this urgent? Please raise your hand. It's been carried 5-4. I don't think it's urgent, but you've got that. You've got the floor now, so that's been carried. Right. So, what are you proposing?
Just that the administration continue these conversations. I understand. I don't want to go into conversations that may be had with different parties with the council. I know that both Zigzag and Lithgow Rail are both interested. The fact that we've got both of those parties with a collective vision, I think you may have picked up on an opportunity-based thinker. I'd rather we have the conversation than go, no, it's not going to work and it's not going to happen. We'd be sitting somewhere where we don't need to be.
So your motion is that we
just that the administration
dialogue. Is that
they coordinate the conversation between these parties and transport. The worst case scenario is nothing happens, but if we do nothing definitely doesn't.
So is that what you're putting, Councillor Marnie? That,
yep.
That the council administration continue dialogue
with Zigzag Rail and the Lithgow Rail, other Lithgow Rail interests.
Okay, so you're putting that. I need a seconder for that. Councillor Smith, you have. Oh, Councillor Smith seconding that. If there's any, is there any opposition to that? No, that's carried. So we'll continue. Any further business of great urgency? No? Okay. I need to ask or the public gallery. Unfortunately, we're going into closed council, which I'll need a motion for, so I need to actually ask you to leave, if I could please. I'm sorry if you object.
Move we go into closed council.
Move into closed council. Councillor Ring, can I have a second? Councillor Statham, thank you. I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against, declare that carried. Welcome back. I'll now hand over to the General Manager who will read out the recommendation that the councillors have voted on.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Council resolved that Council 1 note the update on resolution of the issues with the retaining wall at Kramer Park, Portland, and point 2, refer the matter to the next Infrastructure Committee meeting for further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, General Manager. Good night. Meeting now closed.